My name is Roger Veer. I'm the CEO of Bitcoin.com and been involved in digital currencies and Bitcoin specifically since February 2011 full time.
So let's start by exploring what are the trends in this space and which particular trend we should be most excited about right now.
Sure, so there's lots and lots of interesting things being developed on top of blockchains and distributed ledger technology, but for me, I think the killer app is already here, and the killer app is payments and using it as money. And actually right before the panel here, I got the chance to show some of these guys here how easy it is to send money to people using Bitcoin Cash. You literally install an app and it takes longer for the app to download than it does to receive the money. And it works for anyone, anywhere in the world to send and receive any amount of money instantly, basically for free. Do you need a hotspot or you have
No, I'm good.
Yeah, so just look for Bitcoin Wallet in the App Store.
Bitcoin Wallet by Bitcoin.
Yep, there you go. Top result, right?
Second.
The first one's an ad.
So create my wallet.
Yep, does it all automatically for you. I'm very strongly in favor of Bitcoin being used as cash. And so for example, so here's 1,000 yen, right? So hit slide to send on my phone and we'll wait just a moment while it does the signing, the math that's required for the transaction. Sent, received. The money literally went from my phone to your phone. The money is now on your phone. It didn't go through a bank. It didn't go through any company. This doesn't just work when you're sitting across the table from people. It works anywhere in the world. And it's impossible to be blocked or censored or controlled. In fact, why don't we do this? You hit the receive button on your phone.
So I always have to hit receive.
Yep, and you're going to hit send and you can hit the
that's
scan
just
button.
with QR code.
And if you weren't next to each other, you could just text message him that address and he could or email it to him or Facebook or whatever.
Got it.
That's a pretty darn powerful use case. So I think the killer use case is money, and we're starting to see more and more businesses and traditional financial institutions take a look at it from that perspective. I've been shouting about the power of Bitcoin being used as money for over 7 years full time now, and now that we're seeing traditional financial institutions get involved, I think that's a fantastic thing, and it's going to open up the door to more people around the world to be able to start using this fantastic technology, to be able to use it as payments, because once again, I think payments and using it as money is the killer app for this technology. Think about it. Every single person, everywhere in the world, money is 1/2 of every transaction. And now we have a money that works in every single country across the planet. You don't have to give your name. You don't have to give your tax ID number. You just literally install an app on your computer or your phone, and it works for everyone, everywhere, regardless of where they were born or what color they are. That's an incredibly liberating technology for the world, and that's going to continue to get more and more traction for people all across the world. And I'm sure lots of other things that are interesting will be done, but money makes the world go round, and Bitcoin is well on its way to changing it and making the world go around even faster with the speed of which Bitcoin transactions can be done. And for the first time in human history, basically, monies all around the world have to compete with each other for market share. And so if the Australian dollar has better characteristics, the digital Australian dollar, maybe that's coming on a blockchain at some point, if that has better characteristics as money than things like Bitcoin Cash, then people will use the Australian digital dollar. If Bitcoin Cash has better characteristics as money, people will continue to use Bitcoin Cash. So we're seeing a Darwinian evolution in the types of money that people get to use, and the ones that have the best characteristics to make them the most useful as money to the most number of people around the world are the ones that are going to wind up being used by the most people around the world. So finally, different types of money around the world have to compete on merit rather than on a couple of politicians deciding you're all going to use this money because we said so. So in my point of view, Bitcoin Cash is Bitcoin, and the current version of Bitcoin Core with the ticker symbol BTC has been morphed into the settlement layer. And I've made lots of YouTube videos about that sort of thing. But from the SEC's perspective, both Bitcoin Core and Bitcoin Cash, they share the same Genesis block, the same origin. Neither one of those would be securities. But also, if you stop and think for a moment, if every single token and every single thing out there is a security, maybe it's time the way in which regulators deal with securities around the world needs to change. When technology changes, sometimes the law needs to change with it, and I think we may be seeing that happen right now with all the things that are happening in the space. Actually, we've had quite a few emails from various regulators and law enforcement agencies, and the reoccurring theme that I've noticed from them is that they have absolutely no idea what it is that they're talking about or getting involved in, which is okay, because this is very, very, very new technology. There's a lot to learn. It's nothing like this has ever existed before, but I think we should all take a step back and realize that if you don't understand something, you probably shouldn't be making rules about it So you need to educate yourself and have an educated opinion and and deep insight as to what it is that you're up to. And I think because the whole industry is so new, it's going to take some time for that education process to take place. And so if we take a step back and think in the beginning days of the internet, what if regulators had got together and said any person who wants to build a website has to get a license? We wouldn't have this wonderful, diverse internet that we have all over the world today. And I think the same is true of cryptocurrencies and blockchain technologies. All sorts of amazing things are being built all over the world. We should encourage that innovation and not build all sorts of artificial barriers and regulatory hurdles that people have to jump over in order to get involved, because this is still a very, very new industry, and nobody in the entire world really knows where it's going to end up at the end of this, but things are progressing in a direction that provides more utility for people all over the world, and that's a good thing, and we should try to speed up that innovation rather than slow it down. It's not just payment systems like PayPal and Visa and MasterCard and the SWIFT network and things like that that are, of course, going to be disrupted by the money aspects, but other things that might not be so readily apparent are about to be disrupted. So let's take an example of social media platforms. So recently there's been a lot of discussion about how Twitter and Facebook are manipulating or censoring or influencing the sort of things that people see. But there's already some new upstarts built on the Bitcoin Cash blockchain that allow you to post social media things right into the blockchain, so it can't be censored or modified or hidden away from people. So if you go to blockpress.com or memo.cash are the two websites that are basically kind of clones of Twitter, but every tweet is put right into a blockchain. I think people are going to like that sort of thing a lot more than a platform that's centrally controlled like Twitter, in which they manipulate what tweets people are allowed to see or who's allowed to tweet what, and suddenly now there's these permissionless platforms. And we're going to see things like central banks disrupted as well that traditionally issue currency. Well, now anybody, a teenage kid, a 13-year-old kid in their bedroom at home with their mom can issue a digital currency that can't be stopped or shut down or turned off. And for all we know, Satoshi was a 13-year-old kid when he made Bitcoin. That's incredibly disruptive to the world, but it's also incredibly innovative. And disruption is the key to progress, because if things weren't disrupted, we would never make progress into the future. And so it's building a better future for all of us. So it's a really, really exciting time to be alive and involved in all these things that are happening. One of the things that is going to be disrupted, though, are regulatory bodies. And maybe the time has come in which regulatory bodies don't need to have a monopoly on that sort of thing. And we're already seeing that start to happen with ICOs. So all over the world, all sorts of regulatory bodies are very interested in ICOs, and they want to regulate these sorts of things. But we're also seeing all sorts of private websites that are set up to rate these ICOs and say which ones they think are doing a good job and maybe have an actual product, and which ones are just an outright scheme to get some money. And I think those websites with people that are involved deeply in the system probably are going to be able to do a better job of informing the public as to which ICOs are a good idea and which ones aren't. And competition always leads to better results at a lower cost. And I think the same is true when it comes to regulatory bodies as well. Competition is a good thing in every area of life, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of that in the regulatory field as well. The first rule of investing, though, is don't put all your eggs in one basket, and the same applies to cryptocurrencies. And so amongst the different cryptocurrencies, I'm the most bullish on Bitcoin Cash because it's being used as cash by people all around the world. Businesses all around the world are building their infrastructure on top of Bitcoin Cash. You can use it to book a hotel room right here in this very hotel right now today on various websites. That's very exciting to see that happen. So right now you have a commodity in the form of Bitcoin Cash with a limited supply that's usable as money with a growing user base. And so just like anything, if you have a limited supply and increasing demand, the price goes up over time. And the potential demand of Bitcoin Cash could be for it to be used as cash by people all over the world. And if that happens, you could see a 1,000x increase in your investment from where Bitcoin Cash is today. And you have lots of websites like Bitcoin.com and Coinbase and blockchain.com and all sorts of others out there with hundreds of millions of dollars of combined venture capital funding these companies, promoting Bitcoin Cash to the world and building the tools to make it easy to use as cash. I think there's a really, really, really bullish future for that. And so again, don't put all of your eggs into one cryptocurrency basket, but I would put more Bitcoin Cash eggs into my basket than the other cryptocurrencies at this point.
I agree with the point being that the democratization of currency is very, very exciting. But you have a role and a responsibility to make sure that, to the best of your ability, these are also used for good purposes, from a sustainable perspective, from an environmental, and more particularly from a social aspect. What are you doing, and what are your concerns in that field?
So I think the answer to that is more education for people around the world so they know how to use these technologies responsibly. And we're busy building that at Bitcoin.com, so you have all the educational tools you could need right there. And for anybody who hasn't used cryptocurrency, please go to free.bitcoin.com. You can get some free Bitcoin Cash for anyone anywhere in the world. So we're at a conference made up traditionally of like investment banks and some regulatory board members and people in traditional finance, but here they are busy talking about cryptocurrencies. So it's neat to see a penetration into the traditional world. I think everybody should know about the change that's coming to the world, whether they're philosophically aligned with me or not. Pretty much everybody in that room is paying close attention to what's happening with cryptocurrency because they realize it's going to affect their businesses. And anytime someone's money is on the line, people are going to pay attention to what's going on. I think the recurring theme is that lots of people are still busy talking about cryptocurrencies, but they've never actually used them. The first time takes, I don't know, maybe 20 seconds or something while it does everything.
And this is not a custodian wallet, so nobody holds your keys. The keys are created on your device and you'll need to back it up.
Nice. And this can only hold the Bitcoin Cash.
This can do both Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core, but nobody really uses Bitcoin Core for payments anymore. That's why we're so bullish on Bitcoin Cash. And there you go. You now have your first Bitcoin Cash wallet.
Awesome.
So if you hit the receive button right here, you can scan that. You already received it.
Oh, wow.
The money literally went from my phone to your phone. It didn't go through a bank. It didn't go through a company. It didn't go through anybody at all.
Yeah.
The money is now literally on your phone, and you can send and receive money with anyone, anywhere in the world that easily, just like that.
Awesome.
So,
Great.
and today that's worth 1,000 yen. Someday that could become worth easily 10,000 yen. It's well within the realm.
Does this work in every country?
All you need is an internet connection.
Oh, awesome. It's not, I know China's cracked down all this crypto stuff. Does it work in China?
Yeah, it works in China too. You can't get the app from the App Store because they've blocked it in the App Store, but you can download the APK directly. People are always afraid of change, so change always feels a bit frightening, and so people are a little bit frightened of it, but I think that the smart people are extra curious about it, and a lot of them have heard about it and read about it, but when they actually use it for the first time, they can really see just how useful it is, and I think their eyes really get opened by actually using it. This is a good thing for humanity, and this is a positive change for the world, and we should be embracing it.